Can you imagine waking up in the middle of June, stepping outside your front door, and getting hit right in the face by a freezing blizzard? Imagine wearing heavy winter coats in July, rivers freezing solid in August, and the sun looking like a faint, bloody disk hidden behind an eerie grey haze for months on end. It sounds like the plot of a dark, post-apocalyptic sci-fi movie, but in the year 1816, this was a terrifying reality for millions of people across the globe. History remembers it as the year without a summer. But how could summer completely vanish from the Earth? How did a tropical eruption thousands of miles away plunge the entire planet into freezing darkness, spark violent food riots, trigger global pandemics, and, oddly enough, lead to the creation of one of the most famous monsters in human history? To understand how summer vanished in 1816, we have to travel back to the 10th of April, 1815, to Sumbawa Island in the Dutch East Indies, modern-day Indonesia. There stood Mount Tambora, a sleeping giant that was about to wake up in the most violent way imaginable. When Tambora blew its top, it produced the largest volcanic eruption in recorded human history, a catastrophic rank 7 on the Volcanic Explosivity Index. The blast was so deafening that soldiers over 2,600 kilometers away in Sumatra thought they were hearing distant cannon fire from an invading naval fleet. The volcano blasted over 100 billion tons of ash, rock, and superheated gases 40 kilometers high into the stratosphere. But the real climate killer wasn't just the ash, it was sulfur dioxide. Millions of tons of sulfur gas reacted with atmospheric moisture to create a massive, sun-blocking aerosol veil that wrapped around the Earth like a suffocating blanket. Combined with an already cold period known as the Little Ice Age and unusually low solar activity, the stage was set for total global climate chaos. By the spring and summer of 1816, the deadly atmospheric veil had spread across North America, bringing an eerie dry fog that hung over the skies of the eastern United States. The sun was so dimmed and reddened that people could look directly at it with the naked eye and see sunspots. Then came June. On the 6th of June 1816, while farmers in New England were expecting warm summer sunshine, a massive polar air mass rolled in, dumping up to a foot of snow across New York, Maine, and Vermont. Icicles 12 inches long hung from roofs in the middle of the day, severe frost-battered crops every single month of the summer. In July and August, ice formed on rivers and lakes as far south as Pennsylvania. Temperatures swung violently, dropping from a blistering 95 degrees Fahrenheit down to near freezing in a matter of hours. Crops turned to black mush in the fields. Corn froze before it could ripen, and what little survived was moldy and unfit even for farm animals. Even former President Thomas Jefferson suffered massive crop failures at his estate, driving him deeper into financial debt. If things were bad in America, Europe was facing absolute catastrophe. The continent was already bleeding and shattered from decades of the Napoleonic Wars. Then came the freezing summer of 1816. Heavy, freezing rains poured continuously for months, flooding major rivers like the Rhine and rotting wheat, oat, and potato crops right in the ground. In northern Italy, terrified citizens watched as red snow fell from the sky, colored by volcanic sulfur particles in the atmosphere. In Hungary, the snow fell in a creepy shade of brown. Bread prices skyrocketed overnight. Desperate, starving citizens took to the streets, attacking grain warehouses and bakeries in the most violent food riots Western Europe had seen since the French Revolution. In Ireland, the complete failure of the potato and oat crops triggered a horrific famine, which quickly gave rise to a devastating typhus epidemic. More than 65,000 people died as the disease swept through malnourished communities, forcing families to boil wild herbs just to stay alive. The atmospheric disruption wasn't confined to Western nations, it completely broke the weather systems of Asia. In China, the global cooling shattered the traditional monsoon patterns. Massive, catastrophic floods swept through the Yangtze Valley, drowning entire villages and destroying farmland. In Yunnan province, severe summer frosts wiped out the rice harvest, causing a devastating multi-year famine that brought the ruling Qing dynasty to its knees. Desperate to survive, Many Yunnan farmers later abandoned delicate grain crops and switched to growing a hardier, far more profitable crop, opium, a shift that would alter China's geopolitical history forever. Meanwhile, in India, the altered climate delayed the vital summer monsoons, causing torrential late rains that contaminated water supplies. This sudden environmental disruption caused a fatal mutation in the cholera bacteria near the Ganges River in Bengal. It launched the first global cholera pandemic, a deadly wave that spread across Asia, Russia, and Europe, claiming millions of lives over the following decades. Yet, amidst this global dark age of cold and starvation, human creativity found a way to shine in the most unexpected ways. In the summer of 1816, an 18-year-old girl named Mary Shelley, along with her partner Percy Bysshe Shelley and the famous poet Lord Byron, rented a villa near Lake Geneva in Switzerland for a summer getaway. But instead of warm sunshine, they were trapped indoors by endless, gloomy, freezing rain and black skies. To pass the time, Lord Byron challenged everyone to write the scariest ghost story they could imagine. Inspired by the apocalyptic atmosphere outside, Mary Shelley began penning a story about a mad scientist who brings a creature to life using lightning, giving birth to her immortal masterpiece, Frankenstein. At the exact same time, another revolution was happening in Germany. Because oats and grains had failed worldwide, feeding horses became prohibitively expensive, leading to the death and slaughter of thousands of draft horses. Transportation collapsed. Seeing the crisis, German inventor Karl Dreiss realized humanity needed a way to travel without relying on animals. He invented the velocipede, or dandy horse, a two-wheeled wooden frame that you pushed with your feet. It was the direct predecessor of the modern bicycle. In America, the catastrophic freezing summer of 1816 became the turning point for thousands of desperate families. Realizing that farming in New England was becoming an impossible gamble, entire communities packed up their wagons and abandoned their frozen farms. They migrated west in search of fertile, warmer soil, sparking one of the largest mass migrations in American history and populating states like Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. By late 1817, the volcanic sulfur veil in the upper atmosphere finally began to dissipate, sunlight returned to normal levels, and global temperatures began their slow recovery. But the memory of 1816 remained etched in human history forever. The year without a summer proved that human civilization, no matter how advanced or powerful it feels, is ultimately at the mercy of the natural world. Without firing a single bullet or deploying a single army, a single volcanic eruption on a remote island altered the global climate, redrew political maps, sparked epidemics, and changed human history forever. Want more stories like this? Subscribe now and let us know in the comments what historical event we should cover next.